Hello, folks. Good evening. There's a big storm coming, I noticed when I tried to get in here. So we'll see what happens, you know. The power was going out at home and stuff, so it might go out there as well, here as well. I hope everyone is as well as can be this evening. And so we will begin. Welcome to this online version of True North Insight. Hi, Kathy, Terry, Supriya, Monty, Patty, and other folks that are not able to access the chat, but I can see that you're here. So welcome. Thank you for showing up. I'm one of the Dharma teachers with True North Insight. Hello, Louis. My apologies if I'm not saying that correctly. Welcome. So usually this period goes for an hour from 7:30 to 8:30. And last time I was here, we had an optional extension. So we'll do that again tonight. And so, oh, good. I'm glad. Thank you. After the talk, there will be a sit that will have some guidance for folks that are newer to practice, or anybody that just feels like they need guidance on a day where the heart and mind are restless. And then I'll just ring the bell once at 8:30. And so folks that need to leave, of course, you can leave anytime you want. But folks that you know, a 15-20-minute meditation is enough for you, that's fine. And those that wish to stay, that period will be silent. We'll just continue sitting and resting our attention on the anchor until I ring the bell 3 times to end this period. So we'll try that again and see. It felt good for this body, and other folks were saying it was helpful to you. So we'll see. So the talk tonight is called Taming the Heart. And as many of you know, I tend to teach what I need to, you know, like is said about most teachers, we teach what we need to know, what we need to be reminded of, what we need to be practicing. And yes, these days there's been a wildness of the heart, an untamed feeling, and in that you know, sometimes yeah, it's just a lot of turmoil of it's like this and now it's like this, and confusion and frustration and anger and grief, lots of grief, and joy, peace, just, which is kind of how it always is anyways, always changing. But there was something about this wild, untamed, that resonated for me. So thankfully there is a sutta, a teaching that teaches exactly this. And for folks that are interested, you do not need to know this if it's not your thing. But this comes from it's called the Anguttara Nikaya, which means the numerical discourses, the teachings that are related to a number of things. So lists of 5, lists of 4, 3 things, 2, you know, it goes all the way up and so that's how this book is compiled. And so this is the numbers 1, which I'll explain in a moment. Hope this isn't confusing for folks. Line 21 to 40. There you go. So you don't need to worry about that if that's not your thing. So this teaching is in the lists of 1, or the book, the listing in this book of numbered teachings. This is the one thing, which is like, wow, great, let's keep it simple, the one thing. It's not so simple, but so it's worded in this way. It begins this way, and there's a whole list, as it says, from 21 to 40. There's a list of one things. That's the catch. So reportedly, the Buddha said, I don't know or envision a single thing that, when undeveloped, is as unpliant as the mind. Is as rigid as the mind. So the mind, when undeveloped, is unpliant, or we could say rigid. So the Buddha, the awakened one, is saying, I don't know of a single thing when undeveloped that is as rigid as the mind. Now, you may have noticed, Haigiti, that in some of the posts, social media things that I did, it says Taming the Heart. And here I am talking about mind. And this is because of the word chitta. It's pronounced like CH, chitta, which I've typed in there in the chat, CITTA for people that can't see the chat. And again, this is one of these words that is most accurately rendered in the Pali language, because we don't have this understanding in English anyways. Maybe, I'm sure other languages may have something that compares to this. So the shortest way I could say it in English is the heart-mind, kind of hyphenated, heart-mind. And now you often hear it referred to this way, the heart-mind. And for us, it's kind of like, what? The heart, we think of my heart as like my emotional state, like, emotions, and the mind is my thinking, my logic, my reasoning, and I'm gesturing this way because we think of the brain as being the seat of the mind. And that is a pretty limited understanding, that the mind actually encompasses this whole being, the mind being the capacity for awareness. So this is a word that's used as chitta, which means, so in the Pali English dictionary, it says the heart psychologically, and we think of these as different terms, like heart and psychology. We think of it as the mind stuff. So it's the heart psychologically, the center of one's emotional nature, as well as the intellectual element which accompanies it. Which accompanies its manifestations or thoughts. So it's expressed by familiar expressions. These all come from the dictionary, Pali English. With all my heart, I don't have the heart to do it. Blessed are the pure in heart. So these are some of our phrases or terms that we may say that describe this quality of heart-mind awareness. Another definition said the heart, the mind, a thought, an idea, will, intention. Yeah, so this is just such a wide and beautiful definition of heart, mind awareness, heartful awareness. It refers to more than just our emotional state of what we may think of as a heart quality. So here we would change this. There's nothing that the Buddha could see, no single thing that, when undeveloped, is as rigid as the heart-mind awareness when it's undeveloped. Hi, Lisa. So, um, Jack Kornfield, who's another very well-known Dharma teacher with Gil Fronsdale, wrote a book on these teachings, and they phrased it, translated it slightly differently than other translations, uh, as I know nothing which is as intractable as the untamed heart mind, if you will. So intractable, I had to look that up, intractable. So it means hard to control or deal with. It's been like that for me lately, hard to control or deal with, because it's like, just having difficult conversations with folks, feeling so much grief for the state of the world. Um, Also watching hummingbirds and seeing beauty, and all of this. So um, hard to control or deal with. And so, as is often the case, things are kind of stated in the negative, like, so this is the undeveloped is a rigid heart mind. And so then conversely, in the next stanza, he says, I don't know of a single thing that when developed is as pliant as the heart mind, as pliant, as flexible, as malleable. Isn't that lovely? So this is just so, the rigidity comes when we, with clinging, of course, we get locked into how things should be and how they're not, and how I want other people to be, especially, or how I think I should be. And there's that rigidity in there. And so a trained or developed mind, heart mind, is pliant, malleable, open, flexible, changing, open to learning, open to connecting. It goes on to say in the third stanza, not only is the undeveloped mind rigid, heart mind, the way it's written in this sutta, they called it mind. Other suttas say heart, so I need to try to remember to say heart mind, which is more accurate. So not only is undeveloped heart mind awareness, not only is it rigid, but it can lead to great harm. Great harm in a time when we are trying our best to be harmless, to not be causing more harm. So, there's caution, and then there's encouragement. There's, a warning light, and then there's a green light saying, practice, develop, cultivate. And then these stanzas continue to develop here to say that they also, I spent a lot of time trying to translate these words today, but he goes on to say, I don't see or know of a single thing that when undeveloped and unapparent leads to such great harm as the mind when it's undeveloped. Undeveloped and unapparent. So unapparent is like, unknown, not attended to, not noticed, not known, unapparent. So a large part of our practice here is to know, is to become intimate with our heart awareness, to feel into and grow this language. It's like a whole nother, to me, seems like another language. When we're raised in a language of valuing, thinking, and analyzing, and comparing, and out arguing, and etc., to learn the language of the heart's mind, or the heart awareness, especially if we're, that's a language we weren't taught as children. That was suppressed. I'm just realizing that I left the air conditioner on. Is that making like too much of a background noise? Because I can turn it off. So if someone could just let me know if you can hear me all right, or if it's a bit noisy, I don't mind turning it off. Yeah, so undeveloped and unapparent we have so far. So not cultivated and not known, not intimate with, not attending to. This leads to great harm. Thanks, Monty. Um, and then conversely, when developed and apparent, when cultivated, when known, this leads to great benefit. Awesome. Thanks, folks. Okay. So it then goes on to say that the heart mind, when it's undeveloped, uncultivated, unattended to, brings about suffering, stress, what's called dukkha in the teachings, painful states. So when we don't really grow our intimacy, our attention, our skillfulness, this leads to painful states of heart and mind. So I think we might all agree on that. And conversely, he said, I don't know of a single thing when cultivated, developed, attended to, can bring about great happiness. Sukha, the opposite of dukkha, sukha. I shouldn't say these things unless I'm gonna, dukkha and sukha. So suffering or stress and happiness or joy, we could say. Some translations say joy. Joy is a little bit of a different word, but it's happiness. Yeah. So real encouragement here to attend to know, to cultivate, which of course we're going to talk about how to cultivate this attention. It goes on for another 9 lists of one thing, and with some other descriptors that I find very interesting and helpful. So he says, he also refers to this state of heart mind that's painful, that causes suffering, as being untamed. That's interesting. Tamed and untamed. So what does it mean to tame the heart? It's like, what? That's not what we want to do. We want to have a wild, passionate heart and really feel strongly about things. And, so what does it mean here, this word untamed? And it may refer to the precepts or our ethical intentions and conduct, that this tames and protects the heart. These are some of the other words that are used here, is protected, guarded, tamed, restrained. So all of these refer to, I think, our intention to be skillful, our intention to be kind, and our training, our practice of every day waking up and remembering what are our values: non-harm, non-greed, not taking what isn't freely given, not undertaking the training to refrain from intoxication that causes heedlessness or unskillfulness. So, whatever your personal values, ethical guidelines, is part of this, in the positive, part of your protection, part of your guarding of your heart mind, because if we act in unskillful ways, we suffer. We feel so much turmoil, shame, regret, remorse, um, all the dust that falls off of being unskillful. And this is not to say that we can control these outcomes, because we can't. Like, I've been having conversations with folks about, okay, it's not that we can't. It's our intention that is most important. So if our intention is to use kind, wise, true speech, if our intention is to refrain from greed, hatred, and delusion, sometimes the outcome is still hurtful, harmful. And so when we say that it's the intention that matters, that is most important, it doesn't mean that we don't also try to make amends, that we don't also take that into account and try to be more compassionate next time. And I guess I really feel enthused about this, because I think as a white identified person, this is what is required of me right now, is to speak up and risk getting it wrong, to speak up and risk embarrassing myself, or not having the right answer, or saying something kind of unskillful. And it's all that undeveloped and uncultivated aspect that keeps me from speaking up, saying this is not right, this isn't just, this isn't skillful, and entering into conversations with people about, how we can do things differently, perhaps. Yeah. So, in the positive, the developed, the known, or the apparent heart mind, the cultivated heart mind is flexible, pliant, is open to learning, is curious and excited, willing to get things wrong and to learn and try again. And in this way, we can be of great benefit, according to the teachings. In this way, we can support each other and be truthful and step into the world. And similarly, when the heart-mind awareness is tamed, the other words that are used are guarded, protected, restrained. Restrained means by the ethical guidelines. It doesn't mean like controlled or like suppressed. Restrained kind of sounds like suppression. Doesn't mean this. It means restrained by our ethical intentions and guidelines. And so all of these are of great benefit. So how and these lead to happiness for ourselves and others, and a sense of safety that when we've practiced and developed and cultivated and have ethical restraint, then others know they're safe with us, or safer, or yeah, hopefully they know they're safe with us. Mark Epstein, in his book called Going to Pieces Without Falling Apart, I should put it there since I'm going to quote him, Epstein. Book is Going no, Pieces Without Falling Apart. Great title. Okay. He says it this way. In meditation, so the cultivation, this practice, in meditation, the taming of the heart takes place through the gradual cultivation of mindfulness, in which, this is important, non-judgmental awareness is extended from the body into the feeling tone, into our emotional and mind states. So the non-judgmental awareness, this is our practice, is cultivating all of these skillful states through mindfulness, through kind attention, non-judgmental awareness, into the first foundation of mindfulness, which is the body. And then gradually into the second foundation of mindfulness, which is called feeling tone. I'm pretty sure I did another talk on this on Vedana. It's actually called pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral for short. And then into the third foundation, which is the emotional and mind states, right? So this is the place where we're talking about chitta, heart, mind, of noticing how things are, noticing what's coming up, and starting with the first foundation of being in the body with this. Because these emotional and mental states that are so often locked into habit, reactivity, obsessive thoughts, repetitive thoughts, defensive thoughts, avoiding thoughts, avoidant thoughts. Is that a word? Avoidant? Yes. That when we attend to the body first and the sensations in the body, and then we develop this other language, this other way of knowing how things are, that's less reactive, that has a bit of space from the story. That non-judgmental awareness. In this way, they can be opened to in a way that's more conducive to calm rather than reactivity. Certainly not seeing thoughts and emotions as an enemy, because we are glad we have thoughts and emotions, but we are trying to grow these more skillful ways of being aware of thoughts and emotions. Again, Mark Epstein says, our practice helps us recover a capacity. Isn't that lovely? Recover a capacity, which, implies it's a capacity we had that maybe got, and sometimes shamed out of us, or beaten out of us, or silenced out of us. So it's this recovering a capacity for feelings that we are all somewhat afraid of. So these feelings of hatred, of anger, of fear, all these painful states of heart and mind, that we've lost the capacity to really attend to. Instead, they kind of have their way with us and we react, and um, things become more and more inflamed. So beginning with mindfulness in the body, beginning with our ethics actually first, our intentions, and our embodied experience helps us grow into this other way to recover our capacity. Very nice. And often when we start, well, not just when you start a practice, I can certainly still relate to this, maybe some of you not, but when we try, we have the intention to be mindful of the body, perhaps the breath or just the sensations of the body sitting, whatever aspect of attending to present moment through the body. Usually we notice how hard that is because the mind is so predominant. These hooks and grooves of repetitive and obsessive thoughts are keep pulling our attention away over and over and over and over and over again. And to develop, cultivate, tame, guard over and over and over again, we begin again. We notice, mind is whoop, off into story, and we begin again. Come back, feel the body, feel this breath, feel the ground. And this is what trains. This is what develops. This is what is of great benefit. Okay. I think that's it for now. So I'll read this poem, which I linked down below, from Rosemary Watola-Tromer, called Cultivating the Garden. Why do we have to do this? Asks my daughter, hoe in hand, and I, hoe in hand, reply that it's good for the soil and helps it to breathe. I think about how my own thoughts crust over, how quickly they become impenetrable. And then hoe of loss, hoe of hope, hoe of disbelief, hoe of shock. Again and again, the world breaks me open, allows the new to come in. Again and again, I resist the change, and then marvel at how essential it is. The new ideas, so green, so persistent, tender as a girl asking why. I don't mention how it discourages weeds, how it helps the seeds emerge, how it lets the water in. Such a beautiful metaphor for the heart-mind. Why do we have to do this? Why do I have to sit and put on a timer and pay attention to my heart, mind, body, being, and it's this poem exactly, because how our thoughts crust over and get rigid, remember that word pliant of that I mentioned. What was it they said? It was pliant. Why am I looking for it? I just said it. So the practice is what loosens the soil past our crusty heart mind and gets us into this place where, but it also weeds. It pulls out the weeds. And helps the seeds we want to cultivate to grow. Helps the water and sunlight to get in. The practice does, and at the same time we're weeding, if you will, removing what is unskillful, unhelpful, harmful, causes great harm. Yeah, so wow, that's a first. My talk ended earlier than usual. That's a first. So I'll do like I intended. So it's 8:05 now. I'm going to start guiding a practice. And then, pardon me, itchy nose. And then 15 minutes in, I'll just ring the bell once. So folks that are just feeling comfortable with having a 15-minute meditation tonight can sign off. And those that wish to stay, there'll be another 15 minutes of silence. So altogether, it'll be a 30-minute meditation. And so just before we go into that practice, I'll just mention that down below, there's a link for the retreat that's coming up this weekend, online retreat, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Of course, you don't have to attend all of it. You can find this full breakdown of the schedule on the website on that link. Joseph Goldstein, Pascal Auclair, and Roxanne Doe, all amazing teachers, truly. So it's a fundraiser for True North Insight because, of course, we have no revenue this many, many months and going forward till the end of the year, likely. So it's a win-win. It supports True North Insight to continue, and it supports your practice and cultivating this taming of the heart-mind. So a wonderful opportunity. Check out that link below. And, you know, I think it's recorded. So if you miss parts, and it's not all on computer, you know, there's lots of time away from, and then coming back for a guided or a Dharma talk from Joseph, etc. So you can check out that schedule. I also really want to thank people so much for the support and the dana that I've received. The dana, the generosity of you showing up here and participating and practicing for this taming of the heart, but also the dana and generosity I've received. Thank you. Okay. Let's have a practice. So please allow yourself to get comfortable. You can lay down. You can, oh, that's awesome, Monty. I'll be there with you on the retreat. Maybe some others are joining us as well. That's lovely. So if you're able to stay for the practice part, if you feel you need to go, of course, you take care of yourself. Do what you need to do. So let's find some comfort for the body. So if you need to lay down, if you want to stand or walk or adjust your posture, get any cushions you need. And when you're ready, invite a sense of resting through the body, softening. So if your forehead were to become more restful, peaceful, then perhaps your eyes might feel heavier. Some people feel comfortable with eyes closed. Other prefer the eyes just resting downward. Whatever feels most peaceful for you. And as the eyes and forehead rest, see if you can find some ease across the jaw or neck and shoulders. Taking any sighing breaths that you need. And as you begin to soften and relax, you might experience this as a sense of weightedness in the body, heaviness or groundedness, settling, presence. Feel how the body is met with the experience of the ground. And then when you feel ready, as you feel ready, feeling into your intention. Perhaps you have an intention that resonates with this taming of the heart-mind. This attending to our deepest being, our deepest intention. And this intention is informed, and our heart is protected and tamed by our ethical guidelines to train to not cause harm, to not take what isn't freely given, to speak with kindness and truth, to refrain from sexual and sensual misconduct, and to refrain from intoxication to the point where it causes heedlessness, harm, unskillfulness. So these are the traditional precepts, but you may have personal values and guidelines that protect your heart. So take a moment here to feel into or reflect what your protections are. And when you're ready, We'll move our awareness a little more intentionally to the first foundation of this practice, the mindfulness of the body. As if there's a sphere of attention around your whole being, kind of like a golden egg of awareness, attention in all directions. And your awareness is just resting within that field of attention. The body just sitting or whatever posture you're in. Just open to learning this new language of the body sensations. You may feel areas of contraction or tension. And remember non-judgmental awareness, so not judging or pushing away, but just noticing. Some particular areas of the body often hold a lot of or can hold more sensation than other areas. So you might notice the area of the neck or jaw. You might notice the area of the belly. If anything feels too intense, you can just open to the whole awareness of the body sitting right now. We're going a little more, a little closer to the area of the belly. Seeing what's there, if there's anything needing attention. Remember, this attending is part of the practice of creating great benefit. And if it feels like a safe and good invitation to you, you might attend to the area of what's called the heart center. The chitta, heart mind, is said to reside in this area of the body. And even if the sensations you feel like numbness or confusion, or if they feel like unpleasant sensations, try not to judge any of that. Just attending. As Mark Epstein said, our practice helps us recover a capacity for feelings that we are all somewhat afraid of. Very gently, non-judgmentally. How is the heart? Just this kind attention is what tames, guards, protects, restrains the heart mind. And of course, at times our attention will get pulled away into that undeveloped awareness that pulls our attention away from the mind, from the body. And over we gently notice. Over and over we begin again. Just feeling the body here and now. Or feeling particularly the area of the heart center, if that feels helpful to you. So for folks that wish to end their practice now, no problem. And then we'll continue sitting now for another 15 minutes in silence. And if you like, for these last few minutes, allow yourself to know, allow it to be apparent, any glimmer of happiness, of joy from this time of cultivating, taming, protecting. This skillful time that you've given to your own being could be known as a deep and subtle happiness. I don't envision a single thing that, when developed and cultivated, brings about such happiness as the heart-mind. The heart-mind, when developed and cultivated, brings about happiness. I don't envision a single thing that, when tamed, guarded, protected, and restrained, leads to such great benefit as the mind, heart-mind. When the heart-mind has been tamed, guarded, protected, and restrained, it leads to great benefit. May I and all beings untether, cultivate, and develop our heart-mind awareness. Thank you for being here and cultivating this garden of kind attention. May it be for the benefit of all beings. May the merit of our practice lead to the freedom and liberation and safety of all beings everywhere. And I will be here Saturday morning for the meditation, 9 till 10, just for folks that might not be attending the retreat, the online retreat that I mentioned that's linked down below. Right, not there is peace in the world. Yeah, right here is where we find peace in the world. Exactly. Yeah, so I will be here teaching something. I don't know what yet. Saturday morning. Hi, Safria. And for folks that are joining the retreat, it begins after that. So you can do both. Haha. All right. Good night. Thank you from the very bottom of my chitta. Right on. Back at you.